So the next question I have, and I'll pose this first to the ladies, is where do you think this mindset of not necessarily needing a man is coming from? Like, is our culture driving that? Um, is it the mothers that's kind of reiterating to the women, to the younger generation of women, be self-sufficient, although I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but be self-sufficient, be independent. And has that message been taken to extreme when you have a lot of young women saying things like, they can go alone, they don't need a man, and things of that nature? Where do you think that came from? Is that coming from society? Is that coming from other older women who just feel that this is a message that should be passed down to the generation of women under them? Where is that messaging coming from?
I'll say the music and stuff that is out now. And I now me personally, I don't feel that way because I was raised in a two-parent household, but my father, he also my parents, they raised me to be independent,
Mhm.
but also, it's better to work, when you're married because like I said, they're still married to this day. So all that not needing a man, yeah, it's better when you do it together. I can't stress that enough. But with the songs and stuff that come out today, that's what people go off of, and it ain't the right way. To me, it's not.
So you think there's a messaging, like a societal messaging that's been passed along down the line, or is that like a trauma thing? Is there some trauma related to that?
Well, I can't say that because, like I said, I'm in a two-parent household, so
Yeah,
I
that's what I
can't
mean. I mean,
say.
like, fortunately for you, you know, you have been fortunate enough to experience that. But I think a lot of women would say that they grew up not necessarily seeing a man around, so all they know is, seeing a strong woman uh, at the helm and kind of holding things down. So that's where they draw their motivation and their inspiration from. So is that, do you think part of it is music and can be passed off to the culture and music, or is part of it due to the fact that there is an environment where that's essentially what they're exposed to?
It can be something that they're exposed to too. Because a lot of people like, my mama was able to do it by herself, so that could be a thing too. But for me, I just feel like you can have a hole in your heart when that other parent is not there, because like, you'll have like the what ifs they were there. How would my life have been?
That's true. Lorato, any thoughts on this? I don't know if she may have dropped off. Fellas, would one of you guys want to jump on this particular thing? What do you think is the cause? Is the cause of this thinking or this mindset that a lot of young women take these days? Where are they getting it from?
So I'll jump in here. I think it's a mix between the messaging and the modeling, not only in our community, but also in our households as well. Particularly with the rise of divorces, the rise of single parent households. Obviously, when you're speaking about trauma and things of that nature, it can be something that is passed down as the example, AKA the modeling, right? But then also from a cultural standpoint, the consistent message that, uh, the independence, the lack of a need of a man around, that things could be handled independently, I think, creates a crack in the foundation of being able to build in a healthy manner across the board. So
I agree. Go ahead, Ren.
No, that's right on cue. Um, again, it goes back into the whole, raising kids on your own thing. Um, a lot of influence right now is, based on the independent woman, you know, um, and the independent woman, unfortunately, is not uh, tethered to a high valued man. They don't put those two together. They put the independent woman by herself, or they put the independent woman with a man who's who produces less than what he should, you know, and they make it more about an empowering statement than something that is just that should be celebrated as normal, like that women are okay. It's okay for women to be independent and powerful, but they should be that way in a family setting too. It should be they can do their thing and start their own enterprises. That's independence. You don't need to be a powerful woman who has to have a man invested in everything you do. You can do that on your own and still be a woman who has a family, who depends on her man, and who supports her man, and who serves her man, and understands that, like, he is the power force behind what you got going on in that family. He's the one who takes real care of the family, who's there to outside of providing, he's there to keep you secure, and to honor that with strength, but still be able to say, I am independent. I'm independent. I can do my own thing. I don't need him to be following behind me, making sure I'm doing it the right way. I can do it on my own. But you know what? At the end of the day, I understand that this man is pivotal to my everyday experience, my everyday progress in my life, because I love this man. He is going to be with me, and I'm going to be with him forever. It can be those two things can exist together. So we don't get that. And instead, like I said before, we get independent as no one else is needed. It's just, she should be on her own. She can be on her own, and it's totally fine. She can do it all by herself. She doesn't need a man to help her and back her and be behind her to support her. She doesn't need a man to feel safe. That is the wildest thing I've ever heard in my life. Because at the end of the day, when you walk down the street, and if you I don't know a woman who can say she can safely walk down the goddamn street without turning her head and hoping that somebody ain't behind her. There's not a woman I know that can say that. But you know what I can say? There are plenty of men who do that every day and feel comfortable with it. They ain't looking behind their back. They're like, I wish you would come up over here with that bullshit. Right? So these things are not, they're forgotten, right? They don't want to tell the real facts, the dangerous truths, which is, you do need physical presence. You need that in your life. So why act as if the absence of that is, null and void? That doesn't make any sense. You know what I mean? And so because that's not being taught, it's because it's, oh, you can do anything a man can do. No, you can't. It's not within you to do things that we can do, everything we can do. And just like we can't freaking think as in depth as you do, or have babies, like we can't do these things. There's things that a woman can do, a man just can't do. And I'm okay with that. But don't tell me that because you never hear him say to a little boys, oh, you don't need a girl in your life. You don't need a woman in your life. They never telling boys that. They're telling boys to go seek out the woman, seek her out, find her. That's why we find ourselves at older ages in lust, because we've always had it pre-programmed in our minds. Seek out the girl. Where is she? That's why they say the power of the P, right? Because it's always been in our mind to go and seek that out. Where is it? But for women now, they're not told go seek out a man. They're told you don't need a boy. Like, you can do it just as good as a boy can. You're just as powerful as a boy. It's like, yeah, it's like you can't put it in one basket and call it everything. It's not that. It's the power is, there's many things, definitions of power for a woman when it comes to, you can be more, you can be just as good in business as a man. Yeah, that's the truth. Yeah, you can be just as fast as a man. Yeah, you can be just as fast as a man. You cannot be. It's not programmed in you to be as physically dominant as a man. It's just not possible unless you go and do extra things to do that. It's not within your natural state. So I expanded a little more than what was said by the other panelists, but it's literally the independence factor that is being preached to little girls and reinstated in their minds as they go on to different levels of education. From middle school to high school, it gets only more aggressive because they're obviously preparing them like they would prepare children to go to college. They get more harder education so that they can be properly prepared for really hard education. So they treat it like that. Oh, we're going to instill this in your mind more and more. So when you get out into the workforce, you can be the woman who holds the seat that majority of men hold. And you got to think about it like that. But then what they're not understanding is that translates over into everyday life and relationships. And now the woman's walking into her relationship like she's walking into the boardroom. That's not the way it should be. And that's where the confusion is that you're walking into your relationship like you're walking into the boardroom. This is not a boardroom. We are not in competition with each other. We are on the same page. We should be on the same page. We should be working together. Nobody is more higher than the other in this situation here. Many situations, you're going to have to be on the same page with me. I'm going to have to be on the same page with you. I got to make decisions just as much as you got to make decisions at the end of the day.
It's a very good point.